Over the weekend, during what I euphemistically refer to as a YouTube day, a documentary series detailing the rise and fall of Hitler and the Third Reich appeared in my suggestions. Feeling pretty low, lethargic and misanthropic as it was anyway, I naturally decided to watch the whole thing. Eventually, the series arrived at episode 7, The Final Solution. It's a story that's been told a million times before, and it's important for it to continue being told, and for the individual to remind oneself of the depths of depravity human beings are capable of sinking to. As expected, the episode detailed how the Nazis went from the comparatively small-scale euthanasia program against the sick and disabled, all the way up to the mass, industrial-scale genocide of the Holocaust, in such a short space of time, with such coldness and lack of humanity, and with the apparent complicity of the German people, as well as describing just some of the horrors its victims had to endure. By the end, I felt cold, depressed, and even more hopeless than before. As I always do after watching documentaries of this nature, I knew that, during this moment of grim reflection, nothing could make me feel more sombre, melancholy, and disturbed than I did right then. Or at least, that's what I thought. Then, for some reason, my brain thought it would be a brilliant idea to scroll down and read some of the comments. This here video is the result of what I read over the course of the next 30 minutes or so. And so, in a concept I in no way stole from the comedian Adam Buxton, or literally hundreds of other YouTubers, welcome to the first episode of Curs'ed Comment Section's Holocaust
Edition.
Nazis, 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 Adolf Hitler. 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 Adolf Hitler, Adolf Hitler, Adolf Hitler, Adolf Hitler, boo.
We start off strong underneath the pinned comment on the video. The OP writes, "In this episode, the Nazis groomed the nation for the worst genocide in human history, blaming the Jews for everything from Germany's surrender in World War I to its post-war economic woes. Hitler takes a series of steps to deny them their rights as citizens and then their rights as human beings." To which Aries 816 responds,
Was there any legitimacy in his accusations? Or did they just need someone to blame and focus their hate on?
Enter B Crunk 11.
There was a lot of legitimacy to the accusations, but we're not supposed to talk about any of that.
So the number 11 in their username presumably refers to the number of brain cells lethargically shuffling around in their skull. A little further down, our friend gets some backup from the user Fernando Martinez
There was legitimacy. Why do you think the YouTuber who updated this video has no comment? He's either in between or believes there was legitimacy.
I mean, yeah. Either that or the YouTuber who uploaded it has a bunch of other stuff to do and some sort of life, and therefore has better and far more important things to be getting on with than arguing with morons and or faceless trolls trying to be edgy on the internet.
I saw a documentary I was trying to share but has been taken down, unfortunately.
Ah, well, it must be some sort of Jewish conspiracy then. I also love how we can see this comment has been edited, meaning my boy Fernando here pored over this, did all the proofreading, ended up with this and thought, yes, this is what I must share with the world. I get the impression that this guy is what would happen if the sentence,
"Do your own research,"
gained sentience and somehow managed to set up a YouTube account. Depressingly, this is far from the only exchange of its kind on here, but, you know, once you've read one Holocaust denial, you've basically read them all. So we'll move on, and it's not too long before we come across this gem of an exchange.
My mum, who is no longer with us, said that at the age of 14 she heard what was happening to the Jews. She lived in the Midlands, UK, near a railway station. Every time she heard the clanging of the trains, it reminded her of the poor Jews. That anxiety and fear remained with her for the rest of her life, so I don't believe the German public didn't know. Time out, she lived in the UK. This happened in Germany and Poland.
You mean she had empathy for fellow human beings she didn't personally know? What an uptight bitch.
Anxiety and fear? Of what?
A country we were at war with that was cheerfully invading sovereign nations and then slaughtering people who came under their control? My guess would be spiders, mate. And hey, since your username is Film Theory, may I take this opportunity to put to film the theory that you're a cunt? We also see a lot of comments along these lines too, presumably from people who've never had to deal with the misery and asininity of having to comply with YouTube's terms of service.
I hate that any part of this documentary was ever censored. The truth of this history should never be hidden. # never again.
Why are some images grayed out? It is all gruesome, but it is so important that we never forget the depths of depravity to which humankind can sink.
Why are you blurring out images?
To which the original poster eventually responds to explain.
With all due respect, the truth of history is not hidden. Dead bodies are blurred. But what's critical is the context, and that is given. YouTube regulations, as one of you mentioned, require this for unrestricted viewing, and this is a compromise we are happy to make.
And is met with this response from the user 369XO.
Could just say you want to make money.
Yeah, I know your game. You just want to be paid, don't you? For all the hours of work you do. Vulturous bastard.
Not showing how horrible things can get, erasing the death makes it possible to happen again.
So yeah, YouTube, all ongoing and future atrocities around the world are all because of you and your restrictive censorship policy, bitches. After a quite lengthy and innocuous reply thread.
Why do Americans feel the need to bring race into everything?
Yeah, these obsessive Americans, always shoehorning in the topic of race and racism into completely unrelated Nazi documentaries.
Those would be the liberals. That's all they know.
Even if that were true, I guarantee that's one more thing than this guy knows.
This is just sad. Those innocent children, including the disabled who were murdered by lethal injection, didn't deserve this fate.
Now, I'll give this guy the benefit of the doubt. I mean, the wording does kind of imply that all the adults without disabilities were fair game, but I can put that down to clumsy sentence structuring. But then, after a lengthy debate, our old mate and philosopher Aries816 chimes in with this pearl of wisdom.
I don't know. I wouldn't be totally against it for the kids with Down syndrome or those needing special care and attention their whole lives. Should be up to the parents.
So post-birth abortion, because caring for a child with disabilities is inconvenient.
I notice how every single person who ever advocate these tyrannical ideals means not themselves. Every single time. This is how crimes against humanity occur.
There's no reason for a person like me to be euthanized. I take care of myself and contribute to society in a positive manner.
I mean, I think we all know what I want to say in response to that. But that would get me banned from this platform quicker than Grimes got shadow banned from Twitter for having the gall to ask Elon Musk if he wouldn't mind awfully helping to look after their sick child. Then there's the usual Trump supporting contingent. And I can't really provide any wider context to any of these, because they all just read like they've been shouted out with minimal provocation by fuckwits, funnily enough.
You must be a Democrat voter, and or a commie lib.
Again, edited. They actually sub-edited the comment to this, and thought, hot diggity dog, I gotta share these words with y'all, cause that's what Jesus wants.
Yes? They even have the gall to call us deplorables and garbage while saying we can be taken care of by F-15s? What do you expect from communists? What? So slavery wasn't just as worse or worse? Slavery isn't as bad as genocide, but even if it was, what in the world is your point? What does this have to do with the video? Are you a child?
No, just woke.
Yes. When someone uses woke as a pejorative, you just know that's the unmistakable hallmark of a very knowledgeable individual with just tons of salient points to make. Also, The original and actual definition to the word woke is to be alert to injustice in society, especially racism. And since you're watching a documentary about the Holocaust, doesn't that make you woke now too?
Yeah. Think about it.
And if they don't close the South US border, we are in bigger trouble than we are already.
Yes. The one surefire way to make sure this doesn't happen again is to start scapegoating minority groups and then actively prevent those people from taking part in a given society. Also, that's not how you spell border. Incredibly, none of these brave patriots featured just now had identifiable avatars. I can't imagine why. Fortunately, Grok was on hand to create these artistic impressions of them.
In watching this documentary again, and with the backdrop of current events, makes current genocide even worse. The one written in the Hamas Covenant?
I mean, I don't like Hamas either, but I don't think it's ever actually been responsible for wiping out millions of people. Not yet, anyway.
Nothing will remove the German people's guilt of allowing this to happen besides 200 years of reparations. Duh.
Of course. Cripple Germany with unpayable reparations. What could possibly go wrong with that?
Did the narrator just say innocent citizens? Lol. The user Pondusenblank8563 adds, innocent race, and they declared war on Germany in 1933.
What? Hell, if you think that comment was bad, you should see what the previous 8,562 Pondusenblanks were coming out with.
People never talk about Stalin being just as evil, if not worse. SMH.
Oh yeah. Whenever I hear people talk about Stalin, it's always in the fondest and most glowing of terms. I mean, it's not like there are countless documentaries and entire history books dedicated to all the awful shit he did, is it? It's bang out of order.
Stalin was the greatest leader we've ever seen. Respect him or pay the price.
What price? He's been dead for over 70 years. I don't think he's going to get me now. Seems the previous commenter might have actually had a point. In response to the video's description of the earlier stages of the Holocaust, in which carbon monoxide was being used as the method of poisoning.
Carbon monoxide isn't that bad of a way to die, honestly. I had a 2000 Camaro V6, LOL, and I had one of my friends rip off the entire exhaust so it had open headers, thinking it would sound like a Z28. I had no idea it released carbon monoxide, and sure enough, on one night in a cold winter I was driving. The next thing I knew, I was falling asleep at the wheel. If I didn't suddenly turn on max AC, I wouldn't be standing here now. But it would have been painless, TBH.
Oh well, that's those killings exonerated then. I mean, sure, it was eugenically motivated mass murder, but Dr. Pilgrim over here conducted an accidental study when he and his mate fucked around with the exhaust from his car, and he reckons that the victims would have actually found the whole experience rather pleasant.
Albert Speer should have been changed.
Oh, he was changed. He went from being a free and powerful man to being an imprisoned and powerless one. Now, I know that one's a typo, sure, but trust me, we need some levity given some of the horrors we've got coming up later on. And indeed, before we go on, I'd just like to say that if you're enjoying this video, please do remember to like, comment, share and subscribe. Each time you do, the video becomes more visible and makes it easier for others to find. And given the subject matter of a lot of my videos, my advertising options are limited, and the YouTube algorithm isn't inclined to amplify such videos on its own, so I need all the help you guys can give me. Anyway, with that comic relief-esque appeal out of the way, back to the video. Also in response to the Nazi euthanasia program,
the Canadian government is doing something similar to the T4 program in 2023, eh? Now we know how Canada got its new policies, eh? Canada is already on its way with what's on this documentary, eh?
Yeah, I think the big difference here is essentially a matter of voluntary and informed consent. I mean, I would liken it to the differences between consensual and stay. But at the risk of slandering anyone, I suspect that comparison might be lost on these guys as well.
You are conveniently forgetting Pakistani genocide of Bengali in 1970 to 71. where none of the perpetrator were punished.
It probably slipped his mind because this is a documentary about the Nazis. This would be like me watching that Ronnie O'Sullivan documentary on Amazon Prime a few years ago, and afterwards going, oh yeah, but you conveniently forgot to mention the triumphs of Nick Faldo at the Masters and the Open Championship between the years of 1987 and 1996. It's, a different thing.
Instead of teaching kids that boys can have babies, children need to be taught this horror so it never happens again.
Here we go. J.K. Rowling has entered the chat. Okay, firstly, that's not an either-or choice that's being made at any school in any democratic country anywhere. Secondly... What? And thirdly, are you seriously suggesting that the way to stop something like this from happening again is to purposefully not teach children to be accepting and understanding of others?
I worked for the Jewish people, and believe me, they are lovely people and pay better wages. They did not deserve what happened to them. Follow the money, and you'll find we all work for Jews.
It's quite an amazing coincidence that a lot of the worst comments seem to be coming from anonymous accounts with a load of random numbers in the handle. Now, where have I seen that sort of thing before? No, it's not coming to me.
Eva Braun's parents were Jews.
Can't tell if that's a typo or if they mean Eva Braun's parents wore Jews like fur coats. I mean, Himmler had lampshades made out of their skin, so...
Gremlin just taking back the homeland.
Oh, look. Neville Chamberlain has entered the chat.
No, the greatest crime was the crucifixion of Jesus.
Yep, a crime so great that we can't even begin to comprehend it. Or, in your case, spell it.
The concentration camp in Auschwitz is the worst crime in the history of the world. When I went to Poland, 1987 Sept one of my known person told me he will take me to Auschwitz. I simply refused to go to that place out of unhappiness.
Well, yeah. It's not like being invited to Alton Towers, is it? That's kind of the point. Oh, my mate suggested that we should go to Ostrich, but I didn't think it'd be much of a laugh, so I said no.
They wanted a perfect society.
Perfectly evil.
Is that a dig at me?
No such thing as perfect. To pursue perfection is to pursue evil itself.
To be fair, that's true. I mean, just read the stories about James Corden's behaviour in restaurants when the service isn't to his satisfaction.
So sad, but the Bible has already declared their fate.
Oh, well, it was completely unavoidable and totally fine then. And yeah, there are quite a few other comments along those lines from religious zealots and nutters. Trust me, if you value your IQ and sanity, don't bother seeking them out.
And the user ColinMold5452 has a different objection entirely.
How do we block these YouTube channels like this one? There should be an option.
Why, yes, Colin. Have you tried the block button? Wouldn't want to run the risk of you becoming more educated now, would we? Now, for context, the following comment was left over a year ago, before the thick orange fuck and Dunning-Kruger effect riddled Putin puppet got back into the White House.
And now NATO and USA wants to do the same to Russia.
Yes, Morris. In much the same way that being pelted with water balloons upon losing a game of hide-and-seek to my friends as a child was exactly the same as what happened to Anne Frank and her family.
Why do English-speaking people always talk of gerbils? I always hear this R, yet there is no R in his name.
Eh?
Look up the German spelling, and you will understand. There is no umlaut sound in English.
Thanks for the suggestion. I don't understand what the O has to do with the R, to be honest. I don't look at it from a native speaker kind of experience, although I am rather fluent in both languages. I do have my Dutch accent. Do you mean that the...
Oh, they meant Goebbels! I was genuinely confused there. And yes, for those of you wondering, I will definitely be referring to the former Nazi Minister of Propaganda as Joseph Goebbels from now on. Phew, that was an unexpectedly uplifting exchange.
I agree with them on gay people. And other people like that.
And we're back in the room. We are having the worst censorship problems in the history of this nation. You can't turn on a TV today without having commercial with blacks or interracial couples or homosexual. It is sickening. Okay, firstly, surely that's the opposite of censorship, if anything. And secondly, if that's how you feel, may I heartily recommend GB News to you. I mean, no other fucker watches it, so I'm sure they'll be grateful to have you. Evil at its extreme form. Every German has a bloody hand in this.
Right, then every Belgian does for the Congo atrocities, all the Dutch for slavery, all the Brits for colonialism, all the Americans for the native population, slavery, colonialism, etc. If you weren't alive when this stuff happened, you're not responsible in any way.
Rare sign of intelligent life in this comment section. Yeah, very well put. Especially when you consider that the counter-argument to that point is essentially this.
2 World Wars and 1 World Cup.
Phew, we got through it. Well, I got through it. Nearly 1,000 comments I had to trawl through to bring this video to you. So don't forget to show the video and my channel some love. Lord knows I've suffered for it. If you want to seek out the series for yourself, it's called Rise and Fall of the Nazis, and I'll put the link in the description. If you know of any other Curs'ed comment sections you'd like me to look at in a future video, do let me know in the comments below. They also don't have to be from YouTube videos. They can be from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, or anywhere else I don't have to spend money or several minutes setting up an account in order to access it. Now this is going to be my last video for a good few weeks, as I've had to return to the UK for 30 days. Thanks, dickheads! And since my setup here isn't particularly conducive towards recording, I'm mainly going to focus on writing a big video and shoot that when I get back to Finland. So keep an eye out for that, and stay tuned for updates in the meantime. So, that's it. I'll be back with new content as and when I have it, but in the meantime, feel free to peruse what I've already got on the channel. And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, ring the bell, tell all your mates, etc. I may be a relative novice to this YouTube stuff, but I'm already painfully aware that trying to get a channel off the ground is an absolute bastard. So any help you lot can give me would be much appreciated. You may be interested to know that I'm also on Instagram, and despite Elon Musk's best efforts, I'm still knocking around on the 4chan-esque hellscape formerly known as Twitter, and I shall put the links in the description. So, I shall sod off for now. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you all again very soon.